Yo, what's up guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we have a coffee request. If you want to request a video, click over here or buy me a coffee. Link is in the description, and thank you for your support. Today's video is requested by Whiplash, and Whiplash says, here is the awaited story of Haaland or Holland. So people in the chat are saying it's Holland. He is still only 24. Bro, he looks so much older than 24. But already is one of the greatest strikers ever. This story is well made and captures the most important infos on his way to greatness. Some might say he is already the biggest world star we have ever had, but that's up for discussion. Additional fun fact, he is now Norway's top scorer in the national team history and is known for scoring 9 goals in a single World Cup game. What? Under 20s. Oh, okay. Enjoy. Whoa. Okay. He just signed a new contract, now making $600,000 a week. What? That is absolutely insane. Okay, guys. So I've heard about him, and I've heard about, his growth. A lot of people were talking about Mbappe during the World Cup. Some people were already talking about Erling Haaland, and I don't know how big he is. So right now, let me know if you're a fan of Haaland, and if he is famous in Norway. Let me know a little bit more about that. I believe he is, right? But okay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us on Discord. This is a long video. It's from the channel Top Bins. So you guys can check it out. Link is in the description. And let's find out how big, how powerful of a striker, and how good Haaland is.
Erling Haaland grew up in a small Norwegian town where, from just a young age...
What, Bergen? Where is he from?
Erling Haaland grew up in a small Norwegian town where, from just a young age, his coaches knew he had what it took to be great. Everywhere Haaland has gone, he very quickly became the best player, scoring goal after goal and breaking record after record.
Wow.
But this was not luck. There was a calculated plan which has allowed Erling to rise to the top of football, where now, at 24 years old, he's already one of the greatest of all time. So, how did he do it? How did this little boy rise to the top of the sport and become football's best striker? This is the full story of Erling Haaland.
Wow. So we just watched a video that said he was a handball player, and I think that's the key. Those salaries are disgusting.
Erling Haaland was born on the 21st of July 2000 in Leeds, England, but would only live there for the first 3 years of his life until he moved to his native country, Norway, after his father was forced into an early retirement from professional football. Erling's father plays a big role in this story, but what happened to him? Alfie Inge Haaland was a professional football player playing for Manchester City until one day he played against Manchester United, and Roy Keane sought to end his career. Roy was looking for revenge for a tackle that Alfie made on him a couple of years prior, so during this Manchester derby, Keane went in to kill with one of the most...
No way, bro. A couple of years. Bro, he kept a grudge for years and then ended his career. That's crazy.
On him a couple of years prior, so during this Manchester derby, Keane went in to kill with one of the most brutal tackles in the history of football, and Alfie never recovered from this injury, having to retire and move back to Norway. Erling was just a young boy at the time, but he definitely remembered this moment, as he would be eager to avenge his father and take revenge on Manchester United. But we'll get to that soon. Now living in Bryne, a small town in Norway with a population of 12,000 people, Haaland was hardly living in a football capital, but from a young age, he was destined to be an athlete. Because
I wonder if the British try to take ownership for Haaland, saying, no, he was born in the UK, that's why he's so good. I wonder if that goes on.
Even his mother was a professional athlete competing in the heptathlon. As a child, Haaland played in pretty much every sport imaginable, even breaking and still holding a world record for his age in the standing long jump at just 5 years old.
Standing long jump.
About the time when his football journey began, as he joined the Brina Academy, and right from the start,
he's pretty tall, isn't he?
Was special. He was instantly promoted to train with the older kids, and despite being smaller than everyone at the time, he still scored goals for fun. Erling took a while to grow into his stature, as he played the majority of his youth as a small player, which his coaches say forced him to adapt, and is something he benefits from today. The dedication we see within Erling today was something that was innate with him, because his youth coach had this to say about him. He often trained alone as a child, doing exercises over and over again because he had this big goal in mind to make it to the top.
Big goal.
By the age of 15, things would start to get in motion as he made his senior team debut for Birna's second team, and within 5 days he would score his first senior goal, marking the start of Haaland's career. But things wouldn't go so smoothly right away. At 16 years old, heading into his second season, Haaland was hoping to break into the first team. He had been electric with the reserve team, scoring 18 goals in 14 matches, and even scoring his first career hat-trick. But the same wasn't the case when he got the chance to play with the first team. He never really managed to break through, being initially played as a winger, and in this season, he played 16 games and scored 0 goals. But despite this poor output, bigger clubs in the country were still interested in the talent, so on the 1st of February 2017, Erling Haaland made the move to Molde to play for one of Norway's biggest clubs. The manager of Molde was the Norwegian legend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who was definitely the right man to coach Haaland into becoming a great striker. And after
No way! That is the legend and the prodigy. Dang! This story gets even better. We got Solskjaer. Oh my goodness, I didn't know that their paths had crossed. Man, so Solskjaer coached him into being, you know, the Haaland we know today.
Norwegian legend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No way. Man, Ollie looks good. He looks like a villain arc. Dang, I didn't know that. Now it makes a lot of sense. He's like, follow my path, young Padawan. Oh, but that is awesome. By the way, guys, let me know if you are Team Mbappe or Team Haaland. Let me know in the comments.
Who was definitely the right man to coach Haaland into becoming a great striker. And after 2 months with the team, he was finally given the opportunity to make his debut, and Haaland did not waste it, scoring. And he even went on to finish his season with 4 goals in 20 appearances. Heading into his second season, Haaland matched that 4-goal tally within his first 21 minutes of action, scoring all 4 in a 4-0 victory on the 1st of July.
That is awesome.
Game, he scored a brace, as he then went on to finish this season as Molde's top scorer with 16 goals in 30 matches, as he was starting to look like the Haaland we know and love today. Now, at this point, there were a number of European clubs lurking around Erling, but this is where his strategy came into play. Erling and his father knew the value of getting minutes on the pitch as a young player, and made sure that whatever club he would sign for would guarantee him a starting spot.
I feel sorry for his dad. How old was he
extra money to rotate
when he
on
stopped?
and off the bench? All he wanted to do was play, and that's where RB Salzburg came in as the perfect destination, as they could guarantee him enough minutes. So, on the 1st of January 2019, an 18-year-old Erling Haaland moved to Austria to take the next step in his career, and boy, are things about to get crazy for him. On the 17th of February 2018,
this is a great
Haaland made
editing.
his debut, but it took him till the 12th of May to score his first goal for the club. We can count this half season as a warm-up period, because heading into the summer, Haaland was about to start making international headlines. During the Under-20 World Cup, Haaland scored 9 goals in a single game, as Norway defeated Honduras 12-0. As Haaland returned back to club
going against
football,
Honduras.
he kept this form up, scoring his first club hat-trick on the 19th of July and his first league hat-trick 20 days later. This electric start to the season saw Haaland get called up to the Norway senior squad for the first time, but unfortunately for him, the national team does not play a major part in his story, as they failed to reach.
Wait, you're right. They showed the Australian flag while saying Austria. I guess a lot of people get that mixed up, Australia and Austria. Good catch.
any international tournament since his debut. But anyway, just 1 month after this, he picked up yet another hat-trick, making his 6th consecutive game with a goal. Haaland was on fire, but 3 days later, he was heading into his Champions League debut, and boy, did he step up.
Dude is so tall.
He scored 3 goals in the first half to become the only ever player to score a hat-trick on his Champions League debut, and something very telling about this match is what Haaland did after the match. Right after this game, Haaland's family wished to celebrate, so they all went to his home for a beer, but instead of joining them, Erling got back in the car at 1 a.m. and drove to the training center to be able to do his recovery routine.
Nice.
Haaland's father says that it's at this point that he knew his son meant business. The way Erling describes this moment is that it was a turning point. I was thinking after the game, okay, what's next? I cannot stop now. Now people actually start to look at me. I'm going to perform. For me, it was important that I could keep doing this not only one time, but several times. Even his teammates describe him as a perfect professional.
That's how you succeed. You put in the time, you put in the effort. I mean, he has time to celebrate later.
Playing cards on trips away, you can only see him reading some scientific article on how he can improve his sleep or diet. He's always looking for the smallest details that he can improve to take another step forward. In Haaland's next Champions League game, he scored against Liverpool. In the one after, he scored a brace against Napoli. Then, in his 4th game, he scored yet again against Napoli. And in his 5th game, he came off the bench to score a goal against Genk, meaning at 18 years old, Erling Haaland had scored 8 goals in his first 5 Champions League games, making him the tournament's top scorer at the time.
Amazing.
Unfortunately, though, he was not able to make it a perfect run, being unable to score in their final group stage game as RB Salzburg were eliminated from the competition.
Dang.
But after just 6 months at the club, Erling Haaland was the talk of Europe, and with the January transfer window approaching, he was in a position to choose between many of Europe's top clubs to take his game to the next level.
Put in the minutes.
Manchester United, Juventus, and Borussia Dortmund were all interested in signing the young striker, but yet again, we see the intelligent side of Haaland as he rejected the bigger clubs because of the risk of warming the bench and instead opted for Borussia Dortmund, who were able to promise him that starting position. So, on the 29th of December 2019, Haaland made a €20 million
Dortmund was in the finals of the UEFA Champions League
as they paid his release clause. Haaland finished his time in Salzburg with 29 goals in 28 matches, but now it was time to take on a bigger league with bigger teams, and as usual, Haaland rose to the challenge. He made his debut on the 18th of January in a Bundesliga game against Augsburg, where he came on at halftime and scored a 23-minute hat-trick to secure a 5-3 win. 6 days later, he played his second game for Dortmund, where he came off the bench and bagged a brace, making him the first player in history to score 5 goals in his first 2 Bundesliga games. And remember, he did this with only 56 minutes of play time. He was named as the January Player of the Month with less than 1 on the pitch, and he wasn't slowing down anytime soon.
See, the thing is, to become a football player, you need to be in the public eye. And if you are, warming benches, or if you are scoring goals in training, and if you're doing a great job, but in training and nobody is seeing it, then, people are not going to be on your side. But he was so smart, going small, but guaranteeing the minutes and guaranteeing, being in the public eye, showing everybody what he can actually do. Very smart, because there are so many good players out there, and you see their potential during training, but sometimes the coach is so afraid of taking risks, and then you can never fully develop. So this is absolutely amazing. He did a great strategic move. Amazing.
His third game for the club against Berlin, he scored yet another brace as Dortmund were licking their lips.
Oh, they're not small at all.
Just signed.
They were at the finals, Real Madrid versus Dortmund.
Into the Champions League round of 16 against PSG, and of course, he scored a brace as Dortmund beat PSG in the first leg, but unfortunately for Haaland, PSG came back strong in the return fixture to win 2-0. and send him home. The Champions League has always been Haaland's dream. He says that his alarm clock is the Champions League anthem, so he wakes up every day to the sound of it to remind him of what he's chasing. So this exit definitely must have stung, but as you know, he would eventually get that trophy in his hands, just not quite yet. He finished his first season in Germany with 44 goals in 40 appearances across all competitions, as he was now being discussed as the best young player in world football.
And he is young, so it's smart. He has time. But imagine waking up to, "We are the champions." That would be awesome.
During his second season in Germany, Haaland carried the same form into it, picking up a brace in the opening game. 1 month later, he scored 4 goals in just 32 minutes of football, playing away against Hertha Berlin. And as the Champions League resumed, Haaland wasn't playing about, scoring 6 goals in his first 4 games,
for 8 minutes.
Him the fastest player in the history of the tournament to reach 15 goals. But hours before he was supposed to play in their 5th Champions League game, he would suffer a hamstring injury, leaving him out for over 2 months. Not to worry, just more time for Erling to study how he can further optimize his game, fitness, and recovery. On the 9th of January, he returned, and it was like he never left, bagging a brace against RB Leipzig, and 1 month later, he returned to the Champions League, scoring a brace against Sevilla in the first leg of the knockout stages. The influence Haaland was starting to have on the pitch can really be shown in their Bundesliga matchup against Bayern Munich, as Haaland scored twice within 10 minutes to give Dortmund a 2-0 lead, until he picked up a knock and had to leave the pitch injured. Without Haaland on the pitch, Dortmund capitulated as Bayern gained a confidence boost, ending the game 4-2. Erling Haaland had become the focal point of this Dortmund team, and he was loving it, picking up another brace in the return fixture against Sevilla, sending Dortmund to their quarterfinals where, unfortunately, they got knocked out by Man City. But Dortmund and Haaland wouldn't be ending this season trophyless, as they were able to lift the DFB Pokal thanks to an Erling Haaland brace in the final. He ended this season with 41 goals in all competitions.
He can score while he's falling down.
Bundesliga Player of the Season. And heading into Haaland's 3rd and final season at Dortmund, things had pretty much become routine for him. As usual, he started the season off strong, this time with a hat-trick in the first round of the DFB Pokal and a brace in the Bundesliga opener against Eintracht Frankfurt. Haaland did pick up an injury this year, which saw him out for October until the 27th of November, where he returned to score his 50th Bundesliga goal, becoming the youngest and fastest player to reach that feat.
How many times has he done that? I've seen so many clips of him now where the ball is coming and he volleys it. He really jumps and does a ninja fly kick and puts it into the net. Crazy.
Year turned, he picked up another injury, which saw him out from the end of January until March, and
so many injuries.
The season drew to a close, he had only managed to play 30 games across all competitions, but still picked up 29 goals and 8 assists. No silverware was won this season, but that was often the case in Germany, unless you played for Bayern Munich. But now, after 3 seasons in Germany and established as one of the world's best strikers, it was time to take the next step in his career and finally move to a big club.
Manchester City.
Big trophies. Thankfully for Erling, during his initial contract negotiations with Dortmund, his father
City is better than United right now, isn't it?
A relatively low release clause of 60 million euros, meaning most of Europe's top clubs could afford it, and yet again, Haaland had the choice of where to move. So after 67 appearances and 62 goals for Borussia Dortmund, Haaland announced he will be signing for Manchester City, as he was ready to become the best striker in world football and pay homage to his father, who played for the club over 20 years ago. Oh, and also take revenge on Man United.
I believe City is much better than United right now.
It's truly a magical one. And once he arrived, he addressed the fans simply saying, "We're going to have a good time together." Haaland was joining a Man City team who had won back-to-back Premier League titles, playing without a striker.
Don't say that out loud.
One of the world's best strikers was definitely a recipe for success. Ever since Aguero left, Guardiola had been unable to replace him, and he didn't think it would be possible.
No, we cannot replace him. We cannot.
But not only
He's
would
crying.
Haaland prove to be a replacement, he would somehow be an upgrade as he hit the
Is he
ground
okay?
running, scoring a brace on his
I feel like
debut
Pep is
against
going
West
through
Ham.
a hard
Just
time
20
right now,
days later,
too.
he scored his first Premier League hat-trick in a 4-2 win against Crystal Palace, and then just 4 more days later, he scored another hat-trick, this time a perfect one in a 6-0 win against Nottingham Forest. He was named the Player of the Month for his very first month in the Premier League, reminiscent of what happened for Dortmund in Germany. At the start of September, Haaland would get to play in his favorite competition once more as he scored a brace in City's Champions League opener against Sevilla, and just the very next Champions League game, he would score one of his greatest goals with a late acrobatic winner against his old club Dortmund. But come the 2nd of October, the day
Feels
Erling
like
Haaland had
he
been
does
waiting
that
for his
so many
entire
times, though.
career came. He was finally facing off against Manchester United and was finally able to take revenge on the club that destroyed his father's career.
Ow.
And boy, did he deliver. Manchester City demolished their rivals 6-3 as Haaland scored yet another Premier League hat-trick to embarrass United. Alfie definitely enjoyed that one. Come January, Haaland scored his 4th Premier League hat-trick of the season against Wolves, which meant he had just hit the 25-goal mark in only 19 games. To put this into perspective, this was more than the previous season's Golden Boot winners Son and Salah, who scored 23 across the entire season. Manchester City and Erling Haaland were a truly frightening force.
More than Salah
Heading into
and
the
Son.
Champions League knockout stages, business just carried on as usual as Haaland put 5 past RB Leipzig to match the record for the most goals scored in a Champions League match. On the 11th of April, Haaland scored the 3rd goal of City's 3-0 win in the Champions League quarterfinals against Bayern Munich, which was his 45th goal of the season, meaning he had already broken the record for total goals by a Premier League player in a single season. And by this point in the season, City were thriving in all competitions, and treble talk was on everyone's lips, but surely they were going to slip in the Champions League. They'd got so close so many times, but just fallen short. On the 20th of May, Haaland and City won the first trophy of the season as they were named Premier League champions. Erling Haaland finished the Premier League campaign with 36 goals, smashing the all-time scoring record in just his first season there. 2 weeks later, City played the FA Cup final against Man United, where Haaland played the full match but didn't have a large impact. Despite this, City still defeated Manchester United for him to lift his 2nd trophy of the season. One game was left this year, the game Haaland dreamed his whole life
and
of
he's
playing
still
the anthem
24.
he would wake up to every morning. He had a chance to lift the Champions League trophy, and thanks to a Rodri stunner, City defeated Inter Milan 1-0 to lift the Champions League and become the 2nd English club to ever win the treble, as Erling Haaland wrote his name in the history of football. Haaland finished this season having played 53 games and scoring 52 goals. He won the European Golden Boot, the Premier League and Champions League Player of the Season award, and was named 2nd in the Ballon d'Or behind Lionel Messi, making for a truly iconic season. But if you think Erling Haaland was done here, you would be oh so wrong, because he was even hungrier than ever before to come back and perform in the next season. Now entering the 23-24 season, business continued as usual. Haaland bagged a brace in the opener against Burnley, City won the Super Cup against Sevilla, and by just the 2nd of September, he scored his first hat-trick of the season. 2 months later, on the 29th of October, Haaland's favorite game of the season came round yet again as he faced Man United at Old Trafford, and this time he scored 2 and assisted 1 as City won 3-0, and he continues to get revenge for his father. In December of this year, Haaland faced the worst injury of his career so far as he suffered a stress injury in his foot, leaving him out for 2 months. During his time out, Haaland was able to catch up on all the latest Top Bins videos, and he subscribed to the channel like you should too. But when he returned, he was ready for action once more. This season, City were in a title race with Arsenal, and for the majority of it, Arsenal were in the driving seat. As the season progressed,
do you think Norway will win the World Cup one day?
Haaland started to receive criticism on his all-round play.
His general play is so poor, and not just today. I think his laying stuff off, living headers or whatever it might be. In terms of front of goal, he's best in the world. But for his general play, for such a player, it is so poor. Not just today. I think he has to improve that. He's almost like a League Two player. That's the way I look at him.
But
What?
Roy might just be a bit bitter from all the Old Trafford beatings. The season didn't go City's way in Europe as they were knocked out in the quarterfinals by...
How can this guy talk about the guy's, the person's son that he ended the career, took out of the game? Man, that's not a good image for Roy Keane, honestly.
by Real Madrid, but thankfully they managed to get hold of the Premier League.
Has he ever apologized?
With a win against Spurs to send City top of the table with 1 game to spare, and then a 3-1 victory over West Ham secured them the Premier League title, and Haaland his second Golden Boot with 27 goals in 31 matches that season. There was one more game to play, which was the FA Cup final, but unfortunately, Man United finally got the better of Haaland as they won the game 2-0. Now entering his 3rd season at Man City, Erling Haaland looks better than ever. He's had an electric start and will most likely win another Premier League and another Golden Boot, as he has already cemented himself as one of the greatest football players of all time. At 24 years old, Haaland's goal stats are pretty much in line with Messi and Ronaldo at the same age, which is some crazy statistic. And if he continues like this, he could very well go down in history as one of the greatest of all time. Now, if you enjoyed this video, the one on screen is a must-watch too, so give it a click. Erling Haaland.
See, I think he needs to be very careful with the injuries because, you know, it could end his career, and he has had a lot of injuries. And you can see that he does his best. He always jumps for the ball, and that is actually very dangerous because he does these crazy kicks and very acrobatic. Got to be careful with those as well. But he's fearless. That's the thing. Yeah, do you guys think he will ever reach the level of Ronaldo and Messi? You know, do you think he will be one of the greatest? He's definitely on the track to being. And yeah, where do you think he's going from here, or is he gonna stay in Manchester City forever? Do you think Norway's gonna qualify? Maybe Norway's not gonna win this World Cup, but do you think Norway will win a World Cup one day if they have more Erling Haalands? You know, Haaland, right? Erling Haaland. Let me know, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you, Whiplash, for sending this video. This was a great video. The YouTube channel that made this video, Top Bins, you guys have very good videos. Well, at least this one was a very good video. I feel like you guys deserve more subscribers. In any case, guys, if you want to request a video like Whiplash did, then go over to Buy Me a Coffee. The link is in the description. Click over here, or click over here to watch more of my sports reactions, and I'll see you. Thank you, guys. Like that. Just go over to Buy Me a Coffee, just like Whiplash did. Okay, click over here or over here, and I'll see you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.